Arlie abhorred him more than anyone else in the world. At the time of his birth, Ronald Lee Arlie was born on March 24, 1944 in Emporia, Kansas. Prior to his family moving to Toppenish, Washington, where he spent the majority of his formative years, his went through his childhood on a farm that was located close to Kansas City. Throughout his youth, Ermey was a defiant individual who frequently found himself in conflict with the law. He admitted that he was a disruptive adolescent who had previous encounters with law enforcement on multiple occasions. When faced with the option of doing time in jail or in the military, my decision was to serve in the military, which would ultimately alter the path that his life would take. My enlistment in the United States Marine Corps took place in 1961, when he was just 17 years old. This marked the beginning of a military career that would come to define a significant portion of his identity and build the foundation for his eventual prominence. Over the course of more than a decade, he served with distinction, including a tour of duty in Vietnam in 1968, during which he was assigned to Chu Lai with Marine Wing Support Group 17, 3rd Marine Amphibious Force. It was during his time in the Marines that he developed a mentality that was harsh, disciplined, and authoritative, which would later become his defining trait on film. Ermey was finally advanced to the rank of Staff Sergeant before he was medically retired in 1972, owing to injuries he acquired while serving due to the fact that he had been injured while serving. An honorary promotion to Gunnery Sergeant was bestowed upon him by the Commandant of the Marine Corps in 2002. This was a rare and important distinction, and it was given to him in recognition of his accomplishments to the Marine Corps as well as his ongoing advocacy for the military. In the years following his retirement from the military, attended the University of Manila in the Philippines to pursue a degree in criminology. It was there that he had an accidental contact with film production, which ultimately led to his introduction into the world of acting. In the beginning, he worked as a technical advisor on films that were related to war, and he used his own personal experiences to ensure that the films were true. His first important acting job was in Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now, which was released in 1979. He contributed to the film as a technical advisor and had a brief part in the film. Nevertheless, it was his performance as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in the 1987 film Full Metal Jacket by Stanley Kubrick that established him as a notable figure in the culture. Ermey was initially employed for the sole purpose of serving as a technical advisor. Nevertheless, Kubrick was so impressed with an impromptu audition tape that he was ultimately selected for the important role. In addition to earning Ermey a nomination for a Golden Globe in the category of Best Supporting Actor, his fierce, unscripted rants and merciless drill instructor demeanor contributed to the film's extraordinary edge that will be remembered forever. In the film Full Metal Jacket, I gave a performance that was more than just outstanding. As a result, it became one of the most iconic characters in the history of cinema, permanently engraving his gravel voice delivery and non-nonsense demeanor into the annals of popular culture. It also reshaped his career, leading to over 60 film parts, some of which include memorable performances in Mississippi Burning, 1988, Dead Man Walking, 1995, Seven, 1995, Saving Silverman, 2001, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Remake, 2003. In addition, he provided the voice of Sarge in the cherished Toy Story franchise, which further served to endear him to viewers of all ages. Ermey was a powerful, real, and fascinating screen presence, regardless of whether he was appearing in a comedy or a horror film. During his time away from the camera, Ermey was a devoted military supporter and veteran spokesperson. He contributed his voice to a wide variety of causes that supported servicemen and women. A number of television programs such as Mail Call and Lock and Load with R were hosted by him respectively. During his time on the History Channel, Leamy was able to captivate viewers with his charisma and humor, while imparting knowledge on military history, weapons, and tactics. Ermey continued to be an active participant in USO tours, visited troops that were posted overseas, and frequently spoke at events for veterans and military personnel. He continued to exemplify the principles of the Marine Corps, which include honor, courage, and dedication, even after he had left active duty on active duty. In 1975, Arlie Hermy tied the knot with his cherished wife, Neela, which marked the beginning of a partnership that would last for more than 40 years. In spite of the numerous shifts and requirements that Hermy's job brought about, they managed to maintain a marriage that was characterized by unwavering dedication and mutual support. At the time of their wedding, Hermes had already finished his service in the United States Marine Corps and was beginning the process of transitioning into civilian life. This was the beginning of a path that would eventually bring him into the world of acting. Neela remained by his side throughout all of this, serving as a reliable base for him as he explored new avenues in Hollywood and beyond. The couple was fortunate enough to have 4 children, and Hermy looked at his role as a parent with a great deal of pride. Despite the fact that his stern screen persona as the no-nonsense drill instructor became his trademark, people who knew him personally frequently spoke of his more compassionate and truly caring side, particularly when it came to his family. He placed equal or even greater importance on his position as a parent than he did on his roles as a performer or as a former member of the military. Family life continued to be a key focus for him, even as his celebrity increased, and he frequently credited Neela and their children with helping him remain grounded amid the highs and lows of his career. It was said that the Hermy household was filled with warmth and a strong sense of community, which reflected the discipline, respect, and loyalty that Hermy himself exemplified. Neela, who was born in the Philippines, brought her own cultural background as well as her own formidable character into the marriage. The 2 individuals were acquainted with one another while he was serving in the Marine Corps and stationed in the Philippines. Despite the difficulties that come with being in the military, their relationship flourished. After some time, she would move to the United States with him, and there they would construct a life together that was founded on mutual admiration and principles that they both held in common. Neela was the one who gave the quiet strength behind the scenes, raising their children and maintaining the household with dedication and care. While Mai became recognized for his dominating presence on film, Neela was consistently the one who offered the quiet strength. In an industry and a world where it is frequently challenging to maintain long-term relationships, their marriage served as a monument to the enduring love that they shared at the time. Hermy and Neela continued to be inseparable despite the fact that he had a busy schedule, extensive travel for film and television appearances, involvement in a variety of veteran groups, and public speaking engagements. Throughout the years, their friends and co-workers regularly commented about the profound connection they shared, the mutual respect they shared, and the unbreakable cooperation they maintained. In April of 2018, Arlie passed away, and his passing signified the conclusion of a magnificent marriage that had lasted for 43 years. Neela remained by his side till the very end, serving as a representation of the love and loyalty that had existed between them throughout their whole lives together. Not only did their marriage serve as a safe haven for them, but it also served as a striking illustration of the endurance of their commitment to one another. Many others admitted, in interviews and tributes that followed his departure, that beneath the rough facade of the Marine Corps, he was a devoted husband and father who valued his family above all else. Arlie, a legendary character actor who had previously served as a drill instructor for the United States Marine Corps, was renowned for his commanding presence, his no-nonsense approach, and his unwavering commitment to personal guidelines of honor and discipline. The fact that he served in the military during the Vietnam War and later became famous for portraying stern authority figures, most notably Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, earned him widespread respect not only for his service, but also for his authenticity as a tough guy who lived by principles that were forged through real-life experience. Hermy's life and career in Hollywood were marked by the development of both friendships and rivalries across the industry. When it came to personal hostility, however, There was one name that jumped out: Chevrolet Chase. It was said that Arlie loathed Chase more than anyone else in the entertainment world. Chase was the single most disliked individual. Not only were the causes for this long-standing hostility complex and personal, but they also persisted over time. The hate that Hermie had for Chase sprang from a variety of different sources. In both a real and figurative sense, Mai was a straight shooter throughout. He came from a family in which fidelity, modesty, and mutual respect were among the most important qualities, and he brought those principles with him to Hollywood. In contrast, Chase was frequently considered a prima donna, particularly during the height of his celebrity in the 1970s and 1980s. He was renowned for his aloofness, tough attitude on set, and tendency to look down on others. Most of these characteristics were associated with him. It was common knowledge among those who worked in the entertainment industry that Chase was known for his haughty and belligerent manner. As a result of his behavior, he was temporarily banned from Saturday Night Live. He had feuds with other cast members from the show. He damaged relationships with directors, and he even burned bridges with them. Despite the fact that such actions might have been considered the peculiarities of a comic with a large ego, they were a complete and utter abomination to someone like me who held professionalism and friendship in the highest regard. At an event held in Hollywood in the late 1990s, Hermie was subjected to a particularly acrimonious incident that solidified his loathing for the industry. My attempt to introduce himself to Chase in a courteous manner, recognizing him as a fellow high-profile player in the sector, was reportedly made by witnesses. However, according to reports, Chase answered with a statement that was both dismissive and snarky regarding Hermie's military history. He questioned whether or not being a yeller in a war movie was actually classified as acting. This wasn't just an insult to Hermie. It was serious. As far as everything he stood for was concerned, it was a slap in the face. He was extremely proud of his military duty, which included more than a decade of service in the Marine Corps, and even a medical release after sustaining injuries. He was passionate about his military service. The motivation behind his decision to pursue a career in acting was his aspiration to bring honesty and integrity to depictions of life in the military. An uproar of hatred was sparked by Chase's casual comment, regardless of whether or not it was intended to be insincere. From that moment forward, Mai did not conceal the fact that he disapproved of him. During interviews, he frequently made reference to unidentified Hollywood elites who were conceited, disrespectful to the men and women who serve, or simply weaklings who pretended to be tough. He would say that these individuals were full of themselves. Those who were close to him were aware of exactly who he was referring to, even if he did not always explicitly mention names. During a military appreciation ceremony in 2005, Mai supposedly told a group of other veterans that he had more regard for a cockroach in a foxhole than I do for Chevy Chase. This was a very honest incident that took place during the event. It was received with laughter and applause when the comment was made. Many people in the audience shared the same sentiments against celebrities who made fun of or humiliated members of the armed forces. On a philosophical level, the two men were also at odds with one another. Through my participation in various United Service Organization tours and veteran outreach programs, as well as my appearances in films and shows with a conservative influence, I gravitated toward patriotic themes. On the other hand, Chase was highly involved in liberal activism and frequently utilized his platform to attack many organizations in the United States, particularly the military-industrial complex, on multiple occasions. Despite the fact that he was open to argument, he was adamantly opposed to hypocrisy. Chase's wealthy background and his flippant remarks gave the impression that he was ignorant and uneducated. There was never a resolution to their disagreements. It is said that even in his later years he reacted negatively if the name Chase was spoken. During one of his last interviews, which took place in 2018, before he passed away, I was asked which actor he would never ever consider working with under any circumstances. He merely smiled and said, "There's one guy, and if you've been around long enough, you know who he is. I don't waste my time on clowns who don't respect what real men and women go through." Although he didn't need to name the individuals in question, those who were familiar with me recognized the connection all too well. Last but not least, the conflict between R.A. intriguing comparison and contrast is provided by the characters of Lee and Chevy Chase. Authenticity against artifice, humility versus entitlement, and discipline versus ego are all important distinctions. Despite the fact that he left behind a history of service, ethics, and great performances, his unwavering hatred for Chase stood out as an unusual and personal grudge in a life that was otherwise disciplined. The concept of respect was not something that Arlie Ermey took lightly, and once it was lost, it could never be regained. For him, Chevy Chase exemplified everything that he detested about the entertainment industry in Hollywood. Disrespect, arrogance, and a complete absence of honor are all present. At the age of 74, Arlie, a renowned actor and former United States Marine who became a cultural icon for his depiction of strong military roles, most notably Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, passed away on the morning of April 15, 2018. He was a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He succumbed of problems related to pneumonia at a hospital in Santa Monica, California, where he was being treated. Mai had been fighting the sickness for a short period of time, and despite the fact that he had maintained a generally strong attitude, the virus developed swiftly, ultimately overpowering his system. His departure marked the conclusion of a remarkable life that was characterized by military duty, discipline, and an enduring relationship with audiences in both the military and the civilian world. An outpouring of tributes from fans, co-workers, and members of the military community was received in response to the news of Hermes's passing. My admiration was not just for his acting, but also for his unflinching support of United States veterans and active duty personnel. He is well known for his commanding voice, his no-nonsense approach, and his undying admiration for his country. After spending decades lobbying for military causes, he frequently made appearances at United Service Organization, USO, exhibitions, veterans' hospitals, and military bases all around the world. His death left a tremendous vacuum not only in Hollywood but also in the veteran community, where he had consistently acted as a link between the two communities for a considerable amount of time. Following his passing, Hermes's body was prepared for burial with the utmost decorum, one that was commensurate with both his military service and his prominence in the nation. It was possible for him to be laid to rest with full military honors because he had previously served as a Marine Staff Sergeant, had been discharged with honor, and had been later awarded the honorary rank of Gunnery Sergeant by the Marine Corps, which is a very unusual distinction. In order to give himself sufficient time to make the appropriate arrangements with the military and to collect his family, friends, and admirers from all over the country, his funeral was intended to take place several months onward. On the 18th of January 2019, Hermey was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery, which is considered to be one of the most sacred sites in the United States. This cemetery is also the final resting place for many of the most decorated military heroes in the entirety of the United States. A precision rifle salute, the folding and presenting of the American flag, and the mournful playing of taps were all highlights of the ceremony, which was carried out with full military honors. The memorial service was attended by a diverse group of people including members of the armed forces, actor buddies, intimate friends, and family members, all of whom came together to pay their respects. In honor of Hermey's lifetime identity as a Marine and his profound love for his country, many people wore insignia either from the Marine Corps or from patriotic organizations. Not only did the Arlington service honor his military experience, but it also recognized the long-lasting effect he had via his work in the film and television industries. It was his genuine portrayal of life in the military that left the most profound impression, despite the fact that he portrayed a wide variety of characters during his performance career. His portrayal of military characters on television was forever altered as a result of his performance in Full Metal Jacket, which was renowned for being improvised and was based in large part on his own experience as a drill instructor. This performance also garnered him a nomination for a Golden Globe. In the aftermath of the service, tributes continued to flow in across various news channels and social media platforms. The personal experiences of many fans who had the opportunity to meet him at public appearances or hear him speak at military engagements were revealed. Despite the fact that he had left the battlefield a long time ago, the Marine Corps issued a statement in which they honored his life and services. The statement also stated that he had never ceased serving. The legacy of Arlie Hermy would continue to live on as a symbol of courage, discipline, and honor, even after he had passed away. When he was laid to rest at Arlington, he joined the ranks of American heroes that had come before him, an appropriate place of rest for a man who devoted his whole life to serving and representing the most honorable members of the United States Armed Forces.